Hi, Poe. Oh,
Yeah, Poe hears hellos and he jumps off. He's like, wow, somebody's at the door.
wow.
I know. So unless somebody else joins us, it looks like it's going to be just me, Chrissy, with the amazing Chris Bear Anthony
Ta-da. What?
and the
It's the
amazing. Yeah.
name. Chris's are amazing.
See, there you go. There you go.
See,
That's obviously what it is, right?
100%. 100%.
But we're going to talk about the All American. That was this past weekend. And I wanted to let people know because Dara and I have talked a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit more of the show stuff for times when she can't be here. But we were talking a little bit more about making some changes. And I would like to hear about what you guys out there want to know about. What would you like in this show? Do you have specific questions? Do you have specific needs? Some options that we've put out there, if you have opinions on it. Perhaps having some video techniques and stuff that we can show you and talk more about, like some videos that we're showing you. But tell us what you want. Tell us what you want out of the show. And you do not have to watch live. And these are always still going to be on Facebook in the variety of places that we posted. But we also have a YouTube channel, and that is Whole Pet Grooming Academy. You can subscribe there. Oh, it looks like Lori's ready to join us. The amazing Lori has joined us. Yay!
Hi, Lori.
But we do have a YouTube channel where all of our past ones can be found. And I think for some people that makes it really easy to go back and watch old ones. Oh, Christina's here and Jamie. Excellent. Okay, so you guys like that stuff? Great. You want more of that? I just feel that we have a really great opportunity to educate a lot more people and to learn from each other. So maybe if it's a matter of video clips that we can share as part of live discussion. So what do you think? Yeah? We're going to try to do some more interviews and stuff too. So there's new stuff in the works, and that'll be fun. So it's all about having some fun. Now, let's see. How are you, Lori? Oh, we can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there you. Oh, nope. We can just see Lori. She'll just smile. I'm lost without my hand puppets. Like, nod yes, shake your head no. Can't hear you. Darn it.
Oh.
So I was going to.
no.
Oh no, we lost her.
No.
She'll be back. I was going to ask you, Chris, how was
Yes.
the All American? Now that's, from what I understand, that's the first of the dog grooming trade shows, wasn't it? Like that was the one that started it all, isn't it?
Yeah, the All American has a really, really impressive. I want to say that's the one that Jerry started, like
I think so.
way back in the day.
Yeah.
So it was pretty impressive. It's always a fun show.
Okay. Yeah.
It's always a nice show, and it's one of those, since it's right outside Chicago, you want to do something a little like, the ones near the really big cities. So it's a great opportunity for those traveling and not from the area. Hi, Poe.
Oh, okay.
To just do a little sightseeing, but it was a good show.
Yeah.
It was a good show. It was a little quieter than it's been in years past with this particular show, but you know what? It's always good. There's always a lot of people. There's certain people we see every year. And wait, can we hear you now?
Can we hear you?
Oh.
No, no volume. Oh no. Do you have earbuds you can plug in, maybe? Anyway, sorry about that, folks. So it was a little bit smaller than usual.
It was a little bit smaller than usual, but I think we're at a weird time, trade shows, where we're sort of back to normal, but not really, and not everyone's comfortable with crowds 100%. So it's a very challenging time.
Yeah.
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 But it was nice. I got to sit down with our very own Jennifer Bishop Jenkins.
Awesome.
I got
Awesome.
to get together with some groomers for some tomfoolery. And
Tomfoolery is always good. Always good.
there might have
Um,
even been shenanigans.
well, naturally, tomfoolery is always with shenanigans.
Yeah, they go together.
Like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
So, with the trade shows, are they starting to like have the same amount of vendors as usual, or is that still kind of slowed down too? I know we're in that like post-COVID weirdness, you know.
Almost. It
Almost?
did almost have the same amount of vendor. It did have
Yeah.
a lot of vendors, but yeah, and the schedules are still not 100% where they were. We just had and I know you were going to make an announcement about an interview coming up with Gabrielle.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure when we are interviewing her, but we are going to be interviewing her because she just ran that amazing conference that we keep hearing about.
So
And putting together a conference is pretty drama, pretty neat.
yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was, and that's why I'm extra exhausted because I just flew in today from Chicago. This past weekend and the weekend before, I was in Idaho Falls, the Teton Grooming Expo, which was phenomenal. Very impressive for a full-time show.
I've been eyeing the pictures, and it looked like it came off really, really well. I really miss going to shows, but I tend to get the New England show, Groom Expo, you know, like the Upper East Coast. But I will be in Dallas this year. Let's see. Videos on challenging dogs is what Susan would like. All right. Let's close that again. It was your husband's first time going to one. Christina says it was her husband's first time going to one. And that's great. That's great. I love trade shows. I just really like getting out there and watching contests. I get so much from watching those competitors at all levels. Like that's awesome to watch. It's so much fun to watch. I did compete a million years ago.
I did not know that. What did you compete with?
I did a mini poodle in the beginner class in the New England show in I think 97 and then again in 98. Like this is like a bazillion years ago. And I would love to do more of that, but that's not my clientele.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's
one of my nervous, elderly, seizure-ridden dogs would I bring, you know? But not do I do, but oh my God, it was so much fun. If anybody is on the fence for things like that, what would your advice to them be?
See, it's hard because I don't compete.
You didn't know you were going to be interviewed.
I didn't know I was going to be interviewed, but that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
Didn't know I was going to be interviewed at the Teton show either, but
you were.
But I was. You know what? If you're going to do something like that, take a look at all the categories. Take a look at all the categories and go, okay, probably salon freestyle would be a good place for anyone to show up, because my understanding of that is it's okay, let's make the dog really cute. It's not a breed standard cut, so to speak. It's usually some kind of, really
some
nice
sort of a little mix or whatever that you're going to do something cute.
You can take a mixed breed in and compete with it and do really well. But watch the competitors, watch the competition. Entry level, you can start at entry level and have it be something that say like, okay, I have a cocker, or I have this breed, or I do this. Have it be something that you absolutely know. And just get in, because you learn so much by doing.
Right. So when I got a chance to try it twice, a million years ago, But my boss is the one who was like, I want all of my employees to try it. Just get your feet wet. And she had done it many times. She had dogs for us to work with. That's how I ended up with a mini poodle with enough coat. But what I found was having somebody who knows the ropes, willing to mentor you and guide
Yes.
you, totally settles your nerves. And I know Lori has competed, but Lori has no volume today, so she's nodding. But having I know Lori's like, why am I even here if I can't talk? Hand puppets. But having somebody who knows the ropes, who's tried it before, telling me like it's okay, you're gonna be
Yeah.
fine, because I was all wrapped up in my own head, like I'm gonna embarrass myself, I'm gonna do the worst trim ever. Tell me somebody else has felt that way before. I am not the only one. Raise your hand if you've ever felt like you were going to totally just destroy your life by doing this. And you know what? I did it was in the entry level, and I did a mini poodle, and I had Kaz Osaka judge my poodle, right? And then come over later and give me a personal critique. This is where you can improve. This is what you did well. And
Yes.
that was so valuable
Yeah.
and, and so generous. And then the next year, Terry DiMarino did that for me. She was my judge. And she's like, I really like what you did here. This is where you can improve. This is a little subtle thing here. And I got so much out of that. But I had to get the nerve up to do it. And I kind of feel that going to shows and watching and asking people, there's some really wonderful, wonderful, nice people out there competing. Like,
You
ask
can
them. Oh, Lori's on. I heard you, Lori.
So, yeah, you
Yay!
can with just someone at that caliber critique you.
Yeah.
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 I think that the critique is super important, but also just, being brave enough to go up there and do it. It was really, really nerve-wracking, but having found out that so many people who do that all the time are just so super nice. So many of them are just super nice.
And so many of the judges are amazing.
Yes.
Like Terry DiMarino will do that.
Mm.
And even when she's not judging, like if you compete and you came up to the groom team booth, I'm sure she would help you and give you a critique, because that's one of the beautiful things about this industry, is that there's so many amazing people.
There really are. I find that generally, if I ask someone like a question, this industry tends to be very, very passionate. And a lot of
Yeah.
people who are like, they will passion talk at you like, really, you want to know about hand stripping? And just
Yeah.
the flow of passion talking, like, join us, and I just think that if you go to the conferences and you're around that, it can't help but recharge your batteries. Maybe not for Chris, who goes to conferences like, what, every month ish, probably for you. The life of a vendor.
Wait. Groom Expo West, Atlanta, Seattle, Tacoma, Intergroom, Idaho, Chicago, Super Zoo, Hershey, New England, Dallas.
Yeah.
It's my poor long-suffering husband is so patient.
His weekend's home alone.
Yeah. It's, you know what? It's still invigorating. It's still invigorating because there's different people. You see a lot of the same people, like our trade show family, a lot of the same vendors and a lot of the same, competitors and judges. So it's like we get to visit with friends.
Sure, yeah.
But there's different people at every show that's their local show that we get to hang out with, and we only see at 1 or 2 shows a year. And that's always super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kathy says, Lori said that she loves that about most of the industry leaders, that they're all so welcoming. I really agree with that. There are just so many that, if if you ask them a question, they're just right there, like, oh, how can I help you with that? Or that's a great idea for a class.
Right.
And Kathy says that Jennifer sat down with her and discussed business ideas and planning, and that's great. That's great. I just think that what I didn't realize before I started teaching was that, like, it wasn't bothering anybody to ask a question. Like, if you come over and ask me questions, I'm like, cool, great, because that's why I do it. And I didn't realize that until I started teaching, that seems to be what I find with these people when I ask them questions. What do you think, Lori?
Well, one of the things I love is learning and asking. There's just so many different ways of doing the same thing. Ways can only work with certain dogs. The more you know, the more you can work with these different dogs and accomplish. As far as the showing on the industry, it's something that and when I went and I showed, I had a friend who did the year before. So it's really nice to have this nice support and having talked to let you know how to better yourself. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I really like being a cheerleader. So I'm going to throw that out to any of the listeners out there. If you're like, hey, I'm going to try something and I'm going to be brave. If you need a cheerleader, I'm your girl. I will show up to your class. I will show up and help make sure you have all your equipment and you have something to drink while you're doing your competition. Like, I'm your girl. I'm your cheerleader. I love doing that.
And you may or may not yell Shatner.
I may or may not yell Shatner. Okay, everybody knows what you do when you yell Shatner, right? Shatner.
You just everything becomes extra
dramatic.
Oh,
the ship's been
at the
hit.
same time.
Said with extra emphasis.
Extra.
That's how I helped Chris start her class.
Yes, that was totally how we started a class at Hershey one year. Was that last year? That was just last year.
That was last year, yeah. But yeah, I just think that I love cheering people on. Like, I'm happy to be in the background and woohoo, let me help you prep your dog, whatever it is, whatever you need. But I just like to see more people being brave and getting out there.
Yes, absolutely.
It's so much fun. But also go to conferences because it's a nice way to... What?
You get to test out equipment too.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's also a great place to find new stuff.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
Jamie has a specific question for us tonight. It's not off topic. Well, okay, it's not an American Grooming Show, but what's the best way to handle a large dog that fights for toenails? She's sweet. I only see her for toenail trims. She just doesn't want me handling the feet. An owner wants to help by feeding treats, which isn't helping. So do you guys mind if I spend about 10 minutes on that question?
No, and I was going to say but before you get into this, because this is your wheelhouse, that varies by dog. I had a dog that was a bath dog in one of the corporate salons I worked at, and the only way we could do this bulldog's toenails was to keep shoving cookies in his mouth. And if he was chewing, you could do anything you wanted until he dropped a cookie. If he dropped one, or someone wasn't fast enough putting the next one in his mouth and he realized what you were doing, it was over until the next cookie got in his mouth.
Yeah, pretty common. Pretty common.
Yeah. But
so,
go for it.
I know, I kind of tend to want to dig into that one. So my personal point of view is we have to figure out what that dog's issue is, what they're afraid of. Because that's fear. Even if it's aggression is all about give me space, back off, let me leave or you leave. So it's about fear. So what part of that are they afraid of? When you say fights for toenails, how much have you been pushing on a dog who's telling you I'm scared? So when we say fights for toenails, I always have more questions. Like, are you trying to get it done despite the behavior, or are you trying to work on the behavior? And those two things are subtly different. So in a perfect world, we're trying to help that dog feel like this is safe. And so what I'm usually tell people to do is we want to watch for, is this dog calm, comfortable, and cooperative? And I say it a lot on my podcast, and those are the 3 C's. But if we're watching for calm, like that tells us this dog isn't yet overwhelmed. If we're watching for comfortable, that could be physically comfortable. Like, is there a pain issue going on with this dog?
Mhm.
Maybe only in one foot. You might think that, oh, well, he's weird about his front feet, but maybe one front foot is sore. And so when you're trimming the sore one, you're manipulating the sore toes. And when you're trimming the other one, you're asking him to stand on the sore toes, right? So sometimes there's actual physical soreness, and sometimes they're not comfortable with the process. So comfortable is a big key one, because if they're not comfortable with being reached over, being held, being touched, that's usually where our nail trim problems come from. In my experience, it's not usually the actually trimming the nail. It's all of the things that we do to lead up to trimming a nail. So we want them to be comfortable. And then cooperative is a little bit different, because cooperative is a give and take. Cooperative is both of us. It takes 2 to cooperate. Didn't notice I didn't say calm, comfortable, and obedient. I said cooperative. So we want the dog to work with us, which means if I pick up a foot and the dog does like the slightest little bit of like, I'm not sure, I'm going to address that I'm not sure and try to help them be comfortable before I move on, instead of waiting until I'm having trouble getting the nail trim done when the dog has been having trouble with it for 10 minutes. So there's a lot of things going on there. And I think that sometimes people think the owner wants to help by feeding treats. Sometimes people think, well, he loves treats, so he'll love it while we do this. There is a process. There are lots of processes where we can use treats to help. But if you think something is terrifying, it's not going to help. If you think that someone is doing something that makes you sore, like that, you can give me coffee and chocolate, and on a good day, I'm like, yeah, okay, thanks. That makes something scary a little bit better. But if I really am scared, it's not going to help. What do you say there, Kathy? My tip with some weirdos needed to have the high ground. Squatting down where your chin is at the table has worked so far for many of my freaks. you know, I don't think it's so much that they need the high ground, but that some dogs are really uncomfortable when we loom over them. So when we're in a different position, it can make them feel more comfortable. If you think about it, instead of the dog giving you a hard time, the dog is having a hard time. The dog is having difficulty with it. And if we can help them be calm and push their comfort zone out, like, what are you comfortable with? And then we're going to build on it and build on it and build on it. And that it's not about getting the nail trim done today, which is another important thing, because I'm pretty sure, judging by the way you've described it, you're still trying to get the nail trim completed every time, which most of the time we're as groomers and we're like, well, yeah, that's the job, right? But that dog's scared of it. So we need to backtrack and spend some time teaching them how to be comfortable with it first before we go back and actually get some nail trimming done. She comes in pretty excited, not calm, jumps on the table and sits as soon as I start to pick up a back foot. I feel she's scared of the handling. Yeah, pretty common for them to be afraid of the handling, and pretty excited. Sometimes they're not calm because they're really excited, but all of those things, all of the behavior stuff, are safety issues, and that's how we sell it to people. We're like, listen, this isn't safe. If your dog is wiggling and jumping around, they're far more likely to have something happen. And you might think it's only a quick nail, but what if we hurt their toe or twist their knee, or they fall off the table and hurt themselves? We need to think about like how to help them be calm. And then on a calm dog, if I can get a dog calm and work them to the point where they're calm, they very rarely respond to the nail trimming part. And that seems kind of crazy, but it's true.
I think a lot of it is also how you handle the foot, because how you hold the foot is probably going to be different when you're down with your chin at the level of the table than if you're standing up normally. So there's a lot of different things probably happening.
Yeah. Well, and then there's also range of motion. Like, where is this dog comfortable having their legs when we're doing their nails? I prefer to pick their feet up almost like picking up a horse's hooves. Like, so if their front leg is here, I'm lifting the foot backwards toward their belly to look underneath. But if a dog doesn't like it that way, I can do them from in front. I can have them lie down. I'll play around with it. But really, I'm just trying to get them comfortable, physically comfortable, and emotionally comfortable with what I need to do. And then treats are tricky because there are a lot of ways to use treats, and there are a lot of ways to misuse treats. So I think sometimes people are thinking, well, if I distract them, but if you're distracting and being sneaky, you erode any trust you built. Right. So there's a consenting distraction where, okay, I'm going to use the nail trimmers and I'm going to start trimming, but you have a snack. She's going to give you snacks and I'm going to talk you through it and I'm going to do your stuff. And that's more of a consenting kind of a distraction where the dog is like, okay, I am aware that you're doing something and I'm choosing to be good and someone's giving me nice stuff. And sometimes that works. That's, I think it's sort of this idea that like, oh, I tried treats and that didn't work. I'm like, there are about 8 ways to try treats. There are a lot of ways to use treats. And owners aren't necessarily using them to train. Often owners are using them to distract a dog. And sometimes treats become something that means, what are you going to try next? Like it makes dogs suspicious. Like you pulled out the treats. What's happening now?
But another thing that could be is a simple, self-error. Are we holding that foot a little too tight? Are we point where now the opposition reflex is going to be on high with above sitting there and we're just cranking on the toes? I would so many different factors. And if you're not sure if you're holding a dog's foot too tight when you do it, you should paint your nails. The fingernail, the hand that you're holding the dog back, paint your nails and do that nail trim without smudging those nails. Gentle, you should be holding that dog. And it could be as simple as just can make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think a lot of people grip harder than they need to because we have this idea that I have to hold this in place. But if you hold, just hold and test and see if the dog is letting you by just releasing your hand.
Right.
Are they allowing you to hold them that way? Certainly there are times where we have to hold tighter because like if someone's dremeling a toenail, we want to hold a little bit tight to make sure the nail stays where we want it, but also to help deaden some of that vibration. But there are just a lot of things going on and it can be really hard to narrow it down to just one.
Right.
But if we help them be calm, comfortable, and cooperative and have that as this like kind of guiding principles, like, okay, am I trying to force a nail trim on a dog that is literally telling me I'm terrified, leave me alone? And is it getting worse? Is it staying the same, getting worse, getting better? And gauge that, sometimes dogs will do really well for a long time, but then their health changes. And that dog that you've been grooming for years hits about 8 and they're like, I'm having none of it now. I've put up with this baloney. Now I don't want any more. So throwing a thigh under for the extra weight support if they have bad hips. Yep. Excellent. Yep. So many things that we can do to help them be more comfortable. Yeah. I wish it were a quick, easy answer. But dogs are very individual, just like we are. And what works for one can help guide you to what might work for another one, but they're all going to be a little bit different. And so you feel like you're forcing it, but you'd like not to. And if you feel like you're forcing it, you probably are, and sometimes we have to backtrack and talk to our owners about, listen, he's becoming more and more afraid, and we need to spend a couple of sessions just working on holding and helping them be more calm and not be afraid instead of working on the nail trimming. And by the way, this is my rate. Like that doesn't come for free. I think sometimes we as groomers feel like we have to sell a nail trim or sell a haircut, but we're selling services on dogs who aren't well prepared for our services. So it's okay for us to say, this is how I'm going to charge you for the time that I spend helping your dog feel comfortable with me touching their feet, and maybe we won't get the nail trim done today, and we're going to need to see him like whatever intervals to get him past this, so that this dog will be fine for their whole 15-year life, which is the goal. It can be a tough sell, but you got it. Oh, Facebook user. Who's the Facebook user who says they should take my class for sure? It's amazing. Well, thank you.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, no, you thought that that's what you should be doing. Yeah, it is. And, just be thinking about when times when maybe you've been a little bit afraid and somebody had to do something. Maybe you're at the emergency room or something and you're already kind of sore and you're a little bit worried. Who do you want to be working with you? And try to be that person for that dog. So Groomer Jen wants me to video record myself and then analyze the video. Oh, you're saying for Jamie to do that? Yeah. When you record yourself and you analyze yourself, it can be really helpful. But in a perfect world, like there aren't a whole lot of videos that are going to look very interesting to anybody but behavior geeks when I do this, because the dog does not get crazy. So it's not like, he went crazy and I held his paw and said some magic words and now he's fine. Like that. It's always about keeping them at the point where it's about as interesting as watching paint dry and not letting them get worried. So if you're doing it right, there's nothing really interesting to look at. And you're just kind of like, do. Well, let's stop there and go to something else and brush your hip because you don't mind that. And then go back to your feet and then come back. Oh, you listen to my podcast. Thanks. Unless that's for Chris's podcast, because she's got one too.
No, I like the idea of video recording yourself, because when you're in this situation and we are more results focused, we're so focused on we have to get this nail trim done that we may miss some of the dog's cues. And we may miss when they actually start to act up. And it may be well before they start to give us problems. So if we just watch it for us to learn, to watch what the dog is doing, to watch how we I know you meant Tracy because we were talking about training stuff. But I think that's a great idea, just for your own help, not even to show the client, is to do the whole, I'm showing your dog was bad. No, the dog has issues and is having a bad day.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard, I think that sometimes we start thinking that we can fix things faster than we can, or even that it's our responsibility to. Like, I'm a trainer and I'm a groomer, but it's not necessarily my job to take care of your dog's fear of being touched and fear of strangers in an every 4 to 6 week interval, because honestly, if you think about when we see a dog once every 6 weeks, if I taught you guys how to cast on and knit tonight in 6 weeks, would you know how to do that? If I just handed you a ball of string and some sticks,
right?
And that's some good verbiage, Jamie. That's how. And that's a good way to explain it to the customer. If I were to teach,
I think sometimes
to knit or crochet today, but you didn't do it for 6 weeks. I gave you the knitting needles, taught you how to do it. You're like, oh, I can do this, and then handed it to you in 6 weeks and go knit me a hat. No.
Yeah. And sometimes to explain it to owners, I think what I find talking to owners is that sometimes owners think, well, but you taught him last time. But this is different than teaching how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. This is teaching how to handle tarantulas if you're afraid of spiders. Okay, the entirely different realm of things going on. Now, with a dog who's a blank slate, who's never really had a nail trim, is an unknown, and they're brand new, well, that could be like teaching them how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like, hey, this is how I'm going to hold your foot, and this is the tool I'm using, and that snip, But if they have things that they're afraid of, that's like, okay, and I'm going to throw this snake at you. Oh, it's a rubber snake. Don't worry about it. But I know people who would climb the walls if I threw a rubber snake at them. And they'd never forgive me. And they'd never forgive me.
100%.
Now I want to throw snakes at people. Not real snakes. I'm not a monster.
You know what? But if you have a severe enough phobia of snakes or spiders and you throw a rubber snake or spider at them, it's still going to trigger that. It's still going to set that off.
Yeah. Yep. And so some of these dogs are afraid of things that we do, or equipment, or new places, or, like that. If we're asking them to do something that they find really scary, then we need to think about calm, comfortable, and cooperative and help them through it. And also, I think when we talk to owners about it, instead of saying we have a behavior issue, if we say your dog isn't comfortable with it, and that's a safety issue. It's an entirely different conversation with our owners. And don't add like a behavior surcharge. I know why we do that as an industry, like, oh, and I'm going to charge you this much more because it's behavior, but that doesn't put them in a solution mindset. Then they just go, oh, I'll just add more to my budget. So we need to also think about like, hey, we need to solve this because he's going to get hurt doing this. This is a way for a dog to get hurt. If he's pulling against this, if he's, getting worried, if I have to add more people, like dogs are going to get hurt, people are going to get hurt, or equipment's going to get broken. And I'm going to throw in here too, because again, behavior is my passion project, right? If a dog gets hurt, not only have you not made money, you've lost money. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
If you have to pay a vet bill, like, yeah, you might have business insurance. I don't know about you guys. My business insurance is a $500 deductible. So I'm not going to put in a claim for anything less than like $700, and it's really easy to run up a big vet bill with an injury. If you get injured, you have lost a lot of money. Like this, think about, like, it's not about getting this nail trim done. We have to think of the bigger picture. We are in it to make money. So we can be kind to the dogs and make money. But if they get hurt, you've lost money. Groomer Jen is asking if you need a sponsor to compete in any division. I don't think you need a sponsor to compete in anything. Sponsors are helpful.
You don't need a sponsor to compete in anything. The reason competitors get sponsors, and we talked about this on a couple different episodes of the Traveling Groomers. I know we definitely talked about it when we interviewed Macy and Karina after Pooch Perfect. But the reason groomers get sponsors is because it can be brutally expensive to compete, because you have to travel to the show. You have travel costs, you have hotel costs, you have entry fees. You may or may not have to rent a dog.
Mm-hmm. Do you also have to pay rental for the prep area to bathe them and dry them and do the prep work?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't think so, but I'm not 100%. I think that's provided.
I know some place that you just put it in for a time, and there's they'll let you say you need it for X, Y, and Z amount of time, and you just reserve. And a lot of people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, from my end, some of that fee comes with that. I mean, you typically want to have the dog already prepped on, but it's better off doing it. Right, it's better off doing it right before the show versus going in there. But they do have those grooming vans.
Yeah, I know that some of the shows, well, the New England show usually has a big grooming van that there's sign-ups for prepping there, and just curious. But it can be very expensive, so that's why a lot of people have a sponsor. And also to have somebody help you wrangle dogs if you're competing with more than one.
Yeah. Especially if you're trying to get points to get on Groom's team, because that's different from just competing at your local shows. That means you do have to travel to several shows throughout the country for the groom team sanctioned shows to get the points. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. And then if you're on groom team, you have to go to other countries.
Yeah. Well, groom
Like,
team,
it's exciting.
It is.
so that, I mean, hopefully there's some help for that, but it's still.
So yeah, they do. After the question was, do judges check all the dogs after they're prepped before the competition starts? And yeah, there's pre-judging to make sure that they have enough coat, and to also kind of get a feel for if there's going to be enough of a change. That's part of what they're looking for. Is that, is there enough coat? Did they do more trimming than they should have? But you don't have to be the one to prep your dog. But it's expensive and it's really, really neat. And I've wanted to do it again. I was ready to a couple years back. I had my friend's standard poodle in a nice German clip. And as soon as the New England show came up, it was like sold out within like 20 minutes for the poodle class. I was so bummed. I had already been working on that dog for a while. I was so eager to try it again and couldn't get in.
That I was going to help kind of be her mentor with it. And live, we just did it. We all did it. We're all ready trying to figure it out because it sold within minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's really competitive out there. But it's so neat.
Yeah. It really is.
So let's see. What other questions do we have in here? Do we have any other questions that we missed? Let's take a look. I don't think we missed any. That's good. So I wanted to make sure that people know that if you want to watch these again, that you can watch the recording of any of our live streams on any of the channels that we put it on. But you can also go to Whole Pet Grooming Academy on YouTube and find the YouTube channel, and it has all of these. They're all there. We're going to start sharing those a little bit more. Oh, there's a little in the background. Hi, little. Lori's mini-me in the background. But we're going to start sharing them there too. They've been there, but that's an easier way to share them with friends and stuff, and to ask questions on any of the Facebook groups. And if you have topics you want us to cover, let us know. And we're going to be doing little bits of changes and stuff to try to get more people talking about stuff. We have a lot of interesting people who are on this show, and sometimes we haven't seen them in a while, so we got to drive them back in, lure them in.
And I'm listening. I'm obsessively taking pictures of my cat in my lap.
That's good.
You know, when they wedge themselves between your thighs, and they're like, "This is sorry."
There are times, yeah. So Groomer Jen asks a question. She notices that some of the competitors compete at multiple shows back to back, and how does that affect judging if the same judges are at some of these shows? They're using a different dog if it's back to back. Yeah, you need a certain amount of growth. I think it's like 6 weeks of growth in between.
Yeah, I do think it's
something like that.
Weeks.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
what I do know is that the judges, if it's the same judges, they remember what critiques they gave you, and they remember what they told you they need to work on. So if you actually improve that at least a little bit every time, they do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet they do. Because the judges are doing it because it's a labor of love too. The judges are out there because they want to see groomers doing better. So yeah, generally I think it's something that's awesome to get involved in. I'm really glad I tried it twice. I'd like to do it again, but again, that's not my clientele. But it's just a lot of fun. And if not, just go and watch and cheer people on. Tell people when they get out, like, you did awesome. If they're feeling kind of down because, like they didn't get anything or they thought they'd do better, like, but you did great. You were out there, You know, like that's awesome. That's awesome. And if you need a cheerleader, I'm here.
And me, I love helping.
Yep. Lori's another cheerleader. Yep. If I can make someone else shine, I'm like, yes, help you shine.
Yes.
So speaking of which, I have somebody to help shine today because Caitlin Bright graduated the Master Groomer Behavior Specialist course. She's official. I know. So excited for her. So yeah, we've got
I saw that was fantastic.
Yeah, so she spent 32 weeks doing that. But she finished it. So yay! Super excited. A couple more who are getting really, really close to graduating too. So there'll be more of that.
Gosh.
Yep. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, if any of you guys who are listeners are doing anything really interesting, let us know. You know, we're looking for interviews and stuff to do. We would really like to know what kind of neat, interesting things you're doing. So some of the topics we've talked about, maybe covering a little bit more of, are things like customer service, things like the business side. Maybe it's about like, how do you figure out like what kind of pricing you need to make your bills? You know, not based on what other people charge for what breed. But we've talked about a variety of different types of topics that we think you guys might find really beneficial for your day-to-day life. So any topics like that, you got to let us know. Tell us what you want to know about, and we'll find the person who can tell you. So yeah. Anything else we want to talk about?
Let's
see.
I think that's it for right now.
I think so.
Obsessed with my cat. She is.
I know. I've got a cute dog.
Well, yeah. He's actually, oh my God, the mouth open.
My little po dog. Brock was up here playing earlier, but he's like, okay, done with that. Lori, is that a bear? Oh,
yes.
Ask me if it's a beer. Am I drinking a beer? Oh, yes. Of course it's a beer.
Yeah, I think Lori,
I don't know about you guys, but
question and not
the heat is making me melt. I don't know about everybody else out there, but just take good care of yourselves, because even in the air conditioning, it's either the droning sound of all these machines and fans and air conditioners whirring that's driving me crazy, or that I'm out there and, you know, like trying to travel in between houses and stuff, and the heat's just killing me.
Even
killing me.
We talked about it on the episode of the podcast, the Traveling Groomers podcast, that is supposed to go out Wednesday, but will probably be late. But even though you're in AC most of the day, there's something about the going in and out. And just in that heat for the little bit and the constant temperature change still messes with you.
Yep. It's a lot. And it's exhausting, whether you mean it to be or not, you know. So Groomer Jen is asking about flyball. I love flyball. So when and where are flyball competitions? So that's going to depend on where you live. But if you look up NAFA, North American Flyball Association, and find out what clubs and regions and stuff, like what's near you. And then there's also UFly. I forget what UFly stands for, but UFLI. They also do flyball competitions and stuff. I'm not as familiar with UFly, but we have played UFly a couple times. We have another one coming up in September. So, but flyball is a really fun sport. And for anybody who's listening out there, so flyball is 2 teams of 4 dogs each, with 2 lanes, and there's like drag racing lights and a judge in the middle, and the first dogs go down over 4 jumps, hit the trigger box, get the ball, carry it back over 4 jumps. Second dogs go, third dogs go, fourth dogs go, and they're competing for best team time. And it's loud and they're off leash, and there are balls and treats and cookies and like screaming and all sorts of craziness happening, and the dogs love it. Not every dog, but oh my God, my dogs love it. My dog, who is crazy for food, doesn't take food and fly ball. He's way too geared up. All he wants to do is tug on the ball. So like it's super exciting. Oh yeah, he'll take a treat if that's what he has to do for me to tug on the ball in his mouth, which I'm actually tugging on his canine teeth and like giving him some air and like yeah, fly ball's fast and crazy. And there are competitions everywhere. I know I'm in the Northeast, and that's Region 13, which covers New England, New York, and parts of Canada. But I don't know how many regions there are. But yeah, flyball is a lot of fun, and it's a family sport. They allow lots of kids. We encourage junior handlers. Little kids can be out there in the lane running dogs. We've had an entire team of junior handlers out there. Like the box loader was a junior handler. Every dog was handled by a junior handler, and it was awesome. Awesome. Really fun sport. Anybody else do dog sports? No. I do rally too.
Wasn't really a sport though. It was more she needed to bring that horse job well.
Oh, the horses? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do rally obedience too, which is a much more casual version of obedience where you can talk to your dog. You can give them cookies on the stationary exercises, like if it's a sit, stay, down, stay, or a stand, stay, stationary exercises. But it's a lot of heel work. And my crazy boys love it. So that's going to be their retirement game when they're no longer able to play fly ball. We'll do more of that. There are a lot of fun dog sports out there. Flyball.org and flyball.com. I'd have to look it up, but North American Flyball Association and UFly are the two main ones. So one of those might be a club or some other information, but I can follow up with that later. Let me see. Unless you guys want to keep talking and I can look that up for. All right, let me look that up. NAFA Flyball. That's flyball.org. Yep, is NAFA Flyball. And then UFly Flyball is u-fli.com. United Flyball. And that one's fun too. A little bit different. Yeah, there are a lot of fun dog sports out there. Not just dog shows and competitions, grooming competitions. But, and if you guys want us to, we can explore more of that stuff too. Throwing it out there as, things that involve grooming or grooming related. Sometimes just knowing what some of these dogs do for fun, and what's possible, understand the dogs a little bit more by kind of looking at what they were bred to do. Like understanding terriers by looking at their job. Groomer Jen asks, for flyball, are there any qualifications? Nope. All breeds, all mixes, no breed requirements. The shortest dog on your team sets the jump height. So that's often called a height dog. They're the hardest working dog on the team. So like tiny dogs. We had a Papillon playing on our team. I have a friend with Dachshunds who play. There are a whole bunch of mixes specifically for flyball, which sounds a little crazy, but Border Jacks, Border Collie Jack Russell Terrier mixes, Border Whippets, Border Staffies. You don't find them out there in shelters because they are bred for a particular sport and a particular job, But yeah, they let anybody play. And hit me up for more information about that, Groomer Jan, because I will happily guide you to flyball. Flyball's a lot of fun. But I feel like we've talked about everything.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
My brain traveled too much much trouble.
I know, you're falling asleep.
Yeah,
And Lori had connection problems. And
yeah.
so I think the next show is the Hershey show, right?
Well, no.
No. Okay. That's
Vegas.
my next show then.
That's your next show. Vegas is in
Oh, okay.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
From
Okay.
it starts. It's like a weird midweek show.
Oh, okay.
You might get it in here,
All right.
but we have Vegas. I think it's the 23rd through the 25th, and then Hershey is the weekend of September 16th, and then after
Right.
Hershey is Dallas, and then
after that, it's the New England show. And I
Dallas.
have fly ball tournaments stuck in between those.
there's like 2 days between those.
No, in between Hershey and Dallas,
Oh,
I have
okay.
fly ball
Because I'm
tournaments stuck in there. And
I'm
yeah,
like
yeah,
between Dallas and New England.
no,
It's literally
no.
2 days. I'm
I know.
flying.
Oh, and I'm teaching at Hershey. That'll be fun.
Yes, I'm teaching at Hershey too. That's always great. It's always great.
Yeah. I think they have me down for the understanding fear, frustration, and stress
Perfect.
in our dogs. So, yeah. So, what are you teaching,
I
Chris?
am.
Do you remember?
I
You have a number of things that you teach.
I have a number of things that I teach. I believe I'm teaching the how to provide excellent customer service without being a doormat.
Nice. Excellent.
Because it is possible. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to be that soup guy from Seinfeld,
Mhm.
and you don't have to get walked all over either. So
Yep. There's a fine balance with that. Like, oh, okay, I want to meet your needs, and also, I'm not going to be disrespected.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I want you to feel
Yes.
like you've been treated well and are a fantastic customer and all of this, but I will not be spoken to that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't need to be treated mean.
Yeah.
Great. So I think we can probably wrap it up then, huh?
Yep.
Let Chris
Awesome.
go to bed.
Wait here. I'm just the recliners going back even further. That's all that's happening. Not really. This is it.
Chris is gonna try to get that podcast done.
We'll see about that.
We'll see about that.
We'll see.
Could happen.
My cat actually didn't run. She's just she has like a face stuffed between my thighs. It's very, very bizarre.
Oh, come on.
But,
come on up.
yeah.
Someone's just over here huffing at me.
I'll try to catch him up and get that podcast done. We'll see about that.
All right. Well, good night, everybody, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye.